Good morning and welcome. My name is Mike Kimman. I'm the rector here at All Saints Church. Hello, everyone. Turn and wave at the camera to everyone who's streaming us online. The 9 o'clock service is running a little long this morning, but we're going to go ahead and get going, and just more people are going to come in. And so, will you pray with me, please? God dwells in you. Let us pray. Oh Dios, tú nos hiciste a tu propia imagen y nos redimiste por Jesús tu Hijo. Mira en tu compasión a toda la familia humana. Quita el odio, la arrogancia que nos corrompen el corazón. Derrumba las barreras que nos separan. Unemos en vínculos de amor. Y actúa y través de nuestra lucha y confusión a fin de cumplir tus propósitos en la tierra, para que a su debido tiempo todas las naciones y razas te sirven en armonía alrededor de tu trono celestial. Por Jesucristo nuestro Señor. Amen. O God, you made us in your own image and redeemed us through Jesus, your Son. Look with compassion on the whole human family. Take away the arrogance and hatred which infect our hearts. Break down the walls that separate us, unite us in bonds of love, and work through our struggle and confusion to accomplish your purposes on earth, that in your good time all nations and races may serve you in harmony around your heavenly throne, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. So welcome again. If you are new at All Saints or visiting with us this morning and would like to be kept up with future events, here at All Saints Church there are green contact sheets at the door. Please take a moment to give us your contact information. At the welcome table on the lawn, you can pick up a red welcome bag that has a welcome card to take with you and fill out in return, or you can fill it out on the spot. It's wonderful to have you here. At all times, we put our faith into action here at All Saints Church, and every week we take one or two actions that we focus that. This week, we're looking at the unprecedented devastation in Puerto Rico resulting from Hurricanes Irma and Maria in this August and October. It left many Americans dead and the entire island without power. The people of Puerto Rico continue to face hunger, loss of their homes and jobs, increased disease due to lack of clean water, and disabled sewer systems. However, the disaster in Puerto Rico isn't just from the hurricanes. Last year, Congress took away Puerto Rico's control over its own spending and handed it to a control board made up of members of Wall Street. Puerto Rico will need additional time to rebuild its economy and infrastructure and should receive the benefit of foreign support. We thus write to Congress to urge them to pass a disaster relief package that grants emergency aid to Puerto Rico, relieves them of their debt obligations, provides for lasting recovery and prosperity. So please visit the action table over here on your way out this morning to sign these important letters. Thank you. And as always, want to remind us that All Saints Church is fueled by several sources. It is the grace of God in huge amounts. It is the time and energy and skills and gifts of everyone gathered here. And it is your financial contributions. And your generosity makes a huge difference here at All Saints Church, yours here, and those of you who are streaming us around the world. And so please consider making a pledge to All Saints Church this season so we can continue making a difference in this community and in the world. And if you're watching online, you can make a pledge, and you can also just click that donate button and give right away. And that's a wonderful way to support the ministries of All Saints Church. Thrilled today to have the second of two parts of Rector's forums that are dealing with the issues of houselessness, the housing crisis, homelessness in our community and in general. Last week, we were graced to have Dorothy Edwards and Sophia Herrera, who were putting a human face on the lived experience of being without a house in our community. And if you were not able to be here for that, I encourage you to go to our YouTube page, go to our website, and watch that. It was powerful, powerful testimony. This week, we're blessed to have 4 people representing 3 social service agencies that really are doing an incredible amount of work in our community to make a big dent in the housing crisis. Actually, one of them is Bill Huang. Bill is the Pasadena Housing Director. I did not know there was such a thing, but he is a member of the California Housing Consortium's Housing Hall of Fame, which I'm really glad they have things like that. That's great. Bill oversees the city's affordable housing development, inclusionary housing, first-time homebuyer, Section 8 community development block grant, career services, and homeless programs. He was the acting executive director and housing director of the Community Development Commission of the County of Los Angeles prior to coming to Pasadena. He's also a licensed architect. And so Bill is going to be really sharing with us a lot of what is going on in the city of Pasadena and what we as a city are doing. John Brauer is the CEO of Union Station. John and I started on the exact same day last year. So we've had conversations about sort of diving into these wonderful and complex institutions together. John has more than 25 years of nonprofit executive experience, and he holds a master's degree in clinical psychology. He joined Union Station. Union Station is a phenomenal provider of services to people struggling with homelessness that came out of All Saints Church. He came to us from Northwest Works, a Virginia-based nonprofit agency that provides employment, training, and support services to adults with disabilities. John's work with these individuals, including people experiencing homelessness, included day programs, work programs, therapeutic behavior services, social enterprise development, advocacy, government fundraising, and community outreach. And we have Terry Quigley, and I'm sorry, your name? Sharon is here from Episcopal Communities and Services. ECS's mission is to create exceptional communities and services for seniors through creative, socially responsible retirement community in the greater Los Angeles area. And I gotta say, if you were to look at the list of people who are on the ECS board and the boards of the various ECS facilities, it looks like a directory of All Saints Church. It's wonderful that the amount this community contributes to Episcopal communities and services. And we've asked you all here, and really looking forward to hearing from you. One of the demographic shifts that we are seeing here is an increase in houselessness and homelessness among older people. Actually was reading an article that you were quoted in, Bill, from last year that says there's a rapidly growing senior population, the baby boomers, and that 54% of them can't afford a rental lifestyle, and there's a rapidly increasing homeless population among older people in the county. There were 306,000 people over 50 years old living on the streets in 2014. That's a 20% jump since 2007. People over 50 now make up 31% of the nation's homeless population. So we're blessed to have all three of you here this morning. I don't know, this is like where the game show host says, you drew straws before the game to see who goes first. I think it's Bill. I think you're going to start us off.
That's correct.
And really talk about what's going on with the city of Pasadena. And we're going to hear from all three of you, and then we're going to have a chance to have some questions and conversation. So I'm going to sit down and let Bill take over. You can show the video. Will you introduce it?
Okay. Thank you very much, and thank you for having me. It's great to see so many friends and here in the audience. I thought one of the best ways to get started here this morning is to show a video that we've been working on, and the video is funded by East West Bank, and the purpose of the video is to be a conversation starter to keep doors open for communities to accept permanent supportive housing in their communities. What you may not realize is that when a permanent supportive housing project for homeless families or homeless individuals is proposed, right away the community has some very legitimate concerns. They're concerned about crime increasing in their communities. They're concerned about their property values going down. They're concerned about traffic congestion and parking congestion. They're concerned about impact on local businesses and scaring away clients or customers. And local elected officials are concerned about sticking their necks out and the risk of sticking their necks out to support these kinds of projects. So we started working on this video because right now there's a lot of money that's available to build new permanent supportive housing. But the problem is siting these projects. And so there was a very well-known case that happened just in the last 6 months, and there was a proposal to turn a crime-ridden motel over on Rosemead near Longden into permanent supportive housing for homeless individuals, and it was shot down by the community. And it's very unfortunate that they would choose a crime-ridden motel over what would have been a very well-run, well-conceived, well-designed, well-funded permanent supportive housing project that where probably half of the 160 units that they were proposing probably would have housed homeless from Pasadena. So it was really unfortunate. So we felt that there was a strong need for a video. So let me run this video, and apologies to the speakers to follow. There's a super cute kid in this video, and you're never supposed to follow the cute kid. But anyway, we're breaking that cardinal rule here today. So let me cue this up.
Welcome to my house. This is I eat for my breakfast, and this is Daddy and Jeremiah. That's from my learning books. My mommy have a nice kitchen, and she can cook chicken and rice and cereal and oatmeal. This is my room. They can only play toys. It's so comfy. This is Mom and Dad's room. That's Mommy's candle. You blow. And it was done for bedtime.
The groundbreaking for us, people that have come through being homeless and landing into a place like this, it's a new beginning for all of us. It gives us that hope that there is people out there that really care for people that go through stuff like that. When we found out that there was programs that do this, well, when we get to where we need to get to, we want to give and help. Because building more of this really gives human beings a new beginning.
Permanent supportive housing is what we utilize to address homelessness. It's the one measure that really ends homelessness. If we put a homeless person, if a person enters into a shelter, they're still homeless. But if they enter into permanent housing, then they're not homeless anymore.
It's part of a housing first process where people have a safe place. They have a place where they can stay, where they can build a foundation that they can grow from. Our goal here is basically to find out what the goals of the families are. What are the goals of the people that are going to live here?
All the programs in Union Station use the service collaborative plans. This helps give us a way of tracking, also helps the residents to be able to plan what it is that they want to do in order for us to assist them to get to that point.
Because we're supportive services, we handle things on a day-to-day basis. So when they come to us and maybe someone's in crisis, we try to get them the necessary help in mental health, connect them with services in that way. It's just basically what do they need on a daily basis.
I have 2 care coordinators on my staff. They provide all kinds of services, sometimes transportation to a doctor's appointment, sometimes just support therapy.
It's very important on permanent supportive housing projects that the tenants would all be screened, and this means they're screened for their credit history, also their criminal background checks are made.
Despite some of the stereotypes, affordable housing really doesn't impact crime. It really doesn't erode the quality of life in the neighborhood. They're highly regulated, they're highly monitored.
The safety level is actually enhanced because we're taking people from off the street and putting them into a situation that's stable irregardless of their addiction or their mental health issues. And then it allows us to really start working with those individuals in order to make them people who can contribute to the neighborhood itself.
The property manager is very important. They maintain the property, they execute leases, they enforce house rules.
They regulate to the best of their ability the conduct and the goings and comings of those clients. So it really is a seamless network behind the scenes through housing, through the police department, through the property manager, to the client, and moreover, to the neighborhood.
Even with the parking reductions on these properties, the permanent supportive housing projects in Pasadena have not had an adverse effect on parking or traffic. Other mobility options are used. Biking, taking public transportation, walking.
Local businesses really don't feel an impact from permanent supportive housing for homeless people. If there is an impact, it's a positive one in that there are fewer people on the street, fewer people in doorways, fewer people sleeping on sidewalks and under bridges.
The permanent supportive housing has been an uplift for property values. Projects are well maintained. well designed. They fit very well into a community, and I think that makes all the difference in the world. Property values continue to rise, and they will continue to rise in Pasadena.
One of the things we're particularly proud of here in Pasadena is that we've seen a 54% drop in homelessness since 2009. It's a really interesting time in homeless services in that with the passage of Proposition H and Triple H, that we see dollars coming in, which is really important for us to actually get at combating and ending homelessness. But the dollars alone are not going to cure this. Housing has to go somewhere, and so we together have to band together and say, yes, I'm willing to have in my neighborhood a residential site so that people can come in and get off the street, and that's going to take a collective effort on all of our parts.
I supported the development of permanent supportive housing because it fills such a very important need. My experience with Marv's Place, when the neighborhood saw the renderings and they understood the idea of families living together, they began to come on board. It was so positive. I would love to see another permanent supportive housing in my district or in the city at large. It really hits the sweet spot of helping homeless people, families, individuals move into a successful lifestyle.
To have a place that you're safe, you're comfortable, you're growing, mentally and physically. You get new thoughts and new plans and new ideas.
Having a foundation, being able to, have a place to start to get back into normalcy, feeling like we can continue to the next step.
And just the quality of life, value of life, and just, not being limited anymore.
I'm very grateful to have it. I have a place to live, I have a place to go into, feel safe.
We're human, and we go through stuff, and just having a place like this, it was like, wow. When we finally found ground here, we felt straight at home. We love it so much that we are actually getting involved in the communities. I want to give back.
Thank you very much. So our hope is that this would open up communities and local elected officials to not automatically assume that permanent supportive housing will have a negative impact on all the sort of reasonable concerns that people have, right? Property value is a reasonable concern, So we hope that this will open up the dialogue. And enable some of these proposed projects to actually come to fruition, because permanent supportive housing is critically needed to end homelessness for those residents. I was asked to talk about what can members of the faith community do with respect to housing and respect to the housing and homeless crisis. So of course, there's an opportunity to volunteer time. That's great. There's an opportunity there are ample opportunities to donate money. That's really important. I would ask that folks consider the Real Change Movement. The Real Change Movement, these are these orange parking meters. If you've seen them around town, there are 9 of them happening here that are here in Pasadena. Very soon there will be 12 placed in downtown LA. And the idea there is that this is an easy and convenient way for people to contribute money, and the United Way matches the money that gets donated. And so far, the funding that was raised has gone to Union Station for services that prevent and end homelessness. Also, I would mention that it's important to support some good ballot measures. Measure H, which was the quarter-cent sales tax, was approved recently, and there are several good things that are coming out of that quarter-cent sales tax. In the first year, that sales tax is anticipated to raise about $258 million for homeless services in LA County. And several good things happened. One of the great things is that some of the money got set aside to allow cities to create homeless plans. And from the Pasadena perspective, one of my greatest hopes is that other cities would step up and do their fair share about housing. If other cities did that, we could do quite a bit. And so this opportunity was made for cities to apply for homeless grants, and over 47 of the 88 cities applied for those homeless planning grants. And so that's the first step, to get them to really pay attention, to consider thoughtfully what are they doing about, what is the homeless situation in their community, and what can they do about it. And then about $600,000 in the first year's funding will come directly to the city of Pasadena. And we will use that money to fund a homeless prevention program for individuals. We already run a homeless prevention program, and the concept behind homeless prevention is that it is much better to prevent an individual or household to become homeless rather than wait for them to fall into homelessness and try to bring them out. So if individuals, maybe they work a job that doesn't have sick leave and they got sick, and so they missed a couple weeks of work, but now they're back to work, but they're behind on their rent. It's better for us to step in and pay for that back rent rather than let them get evicted and then try to get them rehoused. So homeless prevention is something that we'll get some money on. We'll also get some funding for housing navigators and housing locators, helping people find affordable housing is really, really difficult. And so there's professional help is oftentimes offered and is the key to success. And so we will get some funding to expand what we already do with housing navigators and housing locators. We also have a number of individuals, for instance, on our regular Section 8 program that are homeless. But the key to helping people to remain housing is to provide them with the services that they need when life crises happen, that they can navigate those and not lose their housing. So we will get some money for case management services for homeless families and individuals who are not living in a place like Marv's place that has the services, but are just living in scattered housing around the city. And then we will get some funding for motel vouchers for folks who are resistant to going into some of the Pasadena shelters. So Pasadena has shelters for men, women, families, and in bad weather for anybody. But there are a lot of folks for whom shelters don't work. They're afraid to go into shelters, oftentimes because they're frail or they have emotional issues that don't allow them to be in a congregate living situation. Sometimes they have a lot of possessions and they can't bring all of that into a shelter, and so they don't want to leave it outside, otherwise everything that they own will get lost. And sometimes they have pets, and sometimes they have friends that they don't want to leave outside. So having our homeless outreach workers have a new tool, which is motel vouchers, to enable them to get off of the street and then engage into services and ultimately get into housing is an important thing. So we'll get some funding for that. We'll get some funding for landlord incentives to incentivize landlords to rent to formerly homeless individuals. And then we'll have some wage subsidy and employment case management services to help homeless individuals get jobs. And then lastly, I would say to consider becoming a landlord. If you have rental units, owners of rental property are doing really well right now, generally. They're doing really well because rents have been skyrocketing. If you can consider to set aside a unit or a couple units for somebody that needs a rental, that has a rental voucher, but has a hard time using it, that would be really fantastic. Because the problem with the rental vouchers, which come to us mostly through the federal government, is the maximum rent that we're allowed to pay is less than what the market rate is. So if you're doing really well on all of your units, maybe you can set aside, one unit, 5% of the units, 2% of the units. That would be very, very helpful. And then lastly, I would say that there is a program called Rapid Rehousing, and the Rapid Rehousing program helps those homeless individuals who have a very good chance of being employed to get housing. And so they're given a short-term rental voucher, or they're giving short-term rental assistance for 9 months, maybe a year, with the thought that during that time, with some employment counseling, they could land a full-time job, and they can then pay their own way with respect to rent. And a lot of times they can't rent a whole unit, but they can afford to rent a room. So my wife and I are rapid rehousing landlords. We have two formerly homeless individuals here from Pasadena who live in our rental property. And within 2 months, when they got their housing stabilized, they both got full-time, more than sustainable wage jobs. And they only needed rental subsidy for 3 months. So there's a whole segment there of folks that are very employable. Hope that you would consider doing that. So I know my time is over, but thank you very much.
So we have about 15 minutes left, and so if we can sort of split them among you folks, and then if you're available to stay afterwards, maybe for people who want to stay and have questions and have sort of more of an intimate conversation. So John, you want to come up?
Absolutely. Well, thank you all. Thank you all. First of all, I just want to say on behalf of all of Union Station, just how much we appreciate All Saints. It's really, you all are the roots. You are the reason we exist, and we're so proud of that. So thank you so much. So I did learn something new today. I've been in the housing game now here in Pasadena for a year. I learned you don't want to have a presentation following kids or animals or Bill Huang. So I'll try to make this fast. So I have a PowerPoint. I'm not going to show it today. I think I'm just going to hit some of the highlights just to kind of tell you about Union Station. So I think most of you know who we are and what we do. I won't spend a lot of time on that. There is a PowerPoint that I guess we can put into the presentation. Perfect. But I do want to say something just in terms of where I think Union Station's heading and the importance of solving this problem. The good news is, I think you heard on the video, we're seeing homelessness go down in our area over the long term. It did have a slight uptick in our area this last year. We think there's some reasons for that, but what we need to do is get at this homelessness thing now. The truth of the matter is we've got the wind to our back. The community's behind us, there's some new funding coming in, and really, thanks to you all, we're going to see some major changes, but here's what I think we're going to need to do over the next couple of years. So Union Station has done some things great all these years, but it's time we change our focus just a little bit. And where I think we're going to be heading over these next years, now mind you, we have a whole strategic planning session coming and there'll be notes and forms and all that, but I just want to give you a little bit of a preview of what I think we're going to end up accomplishing. So if you look at it, in our area there's only, and by only, if you're one of those folks, I don't mean to minimize that, but 575 folks here in Pasadena. There is no reason we can't find housing for those folks. This is a problem that's solvable. This is not 57,000 people in all of LA. This is 575 people in our backyard, and we can do this. The way we're going to do this is kind of a three-prong approach. So back in the old days, not even that long ago, but we had people come to us when they were homeless so we can help find them shelter and get them involved. We don't do that anymore. We go to where they are, and the whole point of having an outreach team and having a team of people going out and meeting people where they are is that we want to find out that the truth of the matter is, I will tell you something I learned. If you've met one person who's experiencing homelessness, you've met one person. Everybody's story is a little bit different, and we've got to go out and figure out how to solve each of these stories one at a time. And so part of that is going out, hearing their stories, finding out what it is they need. So for example, we have people that have been homeless for 15 or 20 years. Part of the reason they don't come into a shelter or to a long-term employment situation is that they don't want to leave their pet. So thankfully, we have these great partnerships in the community. So you look at the SPCA Humane Society here. They are a great organization, and I'll tell you something they do for our folks. If you want to come into the shelter, they will take your dog or your cat free of charge, feed them, house them, get them their shots, and you can come visit them every single day if you want to. Honestly, that's one way we're going to do this. And so that's just, and I'm not going to go into the myriad of ways, but that is just one small thing that we need to do. So it's looking at our outreach. The second thing, which may be the most obvious thing in the world, and took me a little while to wrap my head around, the way you solve homelessness is through housing. So we're going to have as many options as possible. So some of the things that we're doing is, creating the opportunities we have, but, as Bill was saying, we need more motel vouchers. I can tell you, if I was homeless today, I think I would do better in a motel, give me a chance to get on my feet, and then get out there. But everybody's a little bit different. Again, we want to take this individualized approach. The other thing I want to say is, and I won't go into detail on this, but The other thing is, as we were talking about, is how do you keep people from getting in the pipeline? So part of what we want to do is look at employment long-term. So we've been doing employment, and I can say this because I'm new still. We've been doing it well for many, many years now. But it's only the tip of the iceberg. So last year we served about 150 people, and we did intake for 5,000 people throughout the San Gabriel Valley. There's a lot of gap between what we are able to do today and where I see us going in the future. And part of that is owning and running our own social enterprises, creating more business opportunities for folks, really engaging with the business community to try. As Bill was saying, if you have some units that you can try. Also, if you're an employer or somebody, part of it, we want to make sure somebody, it's not just a job, but we want to help them get a career. So job's the first step, but I don't want them to come back 5 years from now. I want to make sure that we are creating ways and opportunities for them to come in and be self-sufficient and learn about having a checking account and savings and, teaching your kids the value of all this. So I'm not going to go on a whole much more, just to say that I am proud to be part of this community, and thank you for all you're doing. And Terry, come on down.
Good morning, everyone. Let's see if I can find my slides here. Close that. We at Episcopal Communities and Services have over 90 years of serving seniors. And we've been doing that over a continuum of services, including life plan communities, which many of you may know. At least one of is the Montecedro here in Altadena, as well as the Covington and the Canterbury and Aliso Viejo and Palos Verdes. But about 5 years ago, we began to see this shift and a wave of people that we knew were going to struggle with housing and services moving forward. And to serve our mission of all seniors, we acquired a company that was devoted to building and managing affordable housing for seniors. And as you can see, since that time, we own and or operate a number of affordable housing communities throughout Southern California, specifically for seniors. We know that need is going to continue to grow for a couple reasons. Our average wait list for an affordable housing community in Southern California is 2 or 3 years, if you can imagine. 2 to 3 years waiting for housing that is affordable to them. California has the second largest senior community that lives in poverty, led only by Florida. So 1 in 5 seniors in California live in poverty. That's kind of a staggering number. We know that that's going to continue to be a challenge for us. In addition to these 575 people whose problems we can absolutely solve in Pasadena, we can't take our foot off the gas. We have to make sure that we're continuing to build pipeline to serve people coming down the road. And the number of seniors who are going to continue to struggle with poverty is going to grow going forward for a number of reasons. We've got this age wave coming forward that the boomers, we all know, is the largest growing population in our country right now. They are more likely to be single and have no children than any generation before, so they don't have that safety net of family that is here to take care of them and help them. They're seeing rising costs. As we've seen, rental housing is just exploding in terms of prices, and so is less and less affordable. They were all affected by the economic downturn of 2008 and have continued to struggle with some of the impact of that. So we at Episcopal Communities and Services, along with a number of other wonderful organizations, are looking at strategic planning and community collaboration. We can't do this alone. It takes great community involvement. It takes great agencies like Union Station to make sure that we're approaching this problem from a really holistic perspective. Our strategic plan at Episcopal Communities and Services absolutely includes building affordable housing going forward, and are working with other collaborative partners to make that happen, including the diocese, the Episcopal Church Diocese. So they've been very supportive in helping us identify parishes who have property, who are interested in expanding their mission and supporting seniors with housing and services there. We believe, along with Union Station that creating housing, solving the homelessness problem with actual housing is the first place to start. So we're devoted and engaged in increasing inventory and access by building new housing for both low-income seniors and what I refer to as middle-income seniors. These are the folks that if we can solve that problem and approach that problem with affordable housing for them, we keep them from becoming homeless moving forward. We also know that walls aren't enough. That with all housing services are needed. And so we believe that it's important in all our communities we provide health education, services, and care coordination. So we're doing chronic disease management, we're helping them stay on their feet and prevent falling. We've just received a 3-year grant from HUD that will allow us to put registered nurses in a number of our properties to help people manage their medications, to help them manage their symptoms so that they live a better quality of life and it keeps them out of the hospital. We provide services like optometry, podiatry, audiology services. We also believe that social and spiritual connections are important so that people feel a part of a community and that they have access to things like healthy food. We bring healthy harvests into our properties to make sure that people have access to good, healthy, fresh vegetables and fruits. We have intergenerational programs that create spiritual connections for our residents and give them a sense of purpose by connecting with children. And then we have by your side programs in which we do end-of-life companionship. So for people who are struggling, people stay in affordable housing communities all the way through the end of their life. And so we bring hospice and end-of-life companions in to serve them as well. And then we believe in enriching people's lives with lifelong learning, like a creative living academy. So we bring in speakers, residents, recruit educational opportunities to come into their properties as well. So this is really about keeping our foot on the gas, making sure that we're creating inventory, making sure that we're enriching people's lives so that it is so much more than walls and keeps them from either becoming homeless or returning to the street, which is very important. So I can't outdo the video, but to show you some of the things that we're doing in terms of health and wellness, exercise classes, Creative Generations, we partner with UCLA. They've got kids in their daycare program, many of which are in foster service. And so our residents go in and spend the day with them, healthy harvest, and then we all know that love, purpose, and connection is really what makes life meaningful. And that continues to be true as we face our golden years as well. So all of which kind of come together with this holistic perspective of creating inventory and enhancing lives. Thank you.
We did get a late start this morning. I apologize for that, and I want to thank all of you for being here. What I'm hoping is, I know we have to say goodbye to those who are streaming with us because our video crew has to get over to the church and get ready to start the 11:15 service, and some of you need to do that. But others, if you're interested in sticking around, if you all can to stay around and just have some informal conversation, please use this space for that. This is what we wanted to do today, is to just give us some glimpses of what's already out there to get you thinking about where you individually and people you know and us as a congregation are already plugged in, where we can plug in more deeply. Really the wonderful thing, and I heard it from all three of you, is this isn't one of these problems that we don't know the solution to. We know how to do this. It really is a question of the political will and us being willing to make the commitments to do this. And I think what we also know is that this isn't about something that's out there. We have folks in our own community who are currently struggling with homelessness, who are facing homelessness. This is about All Saints being a community of equity, justice, and love. And so please, feel where the Holy Spirit is moving with you. As you have been supporting these efforts, thank you. And please, let's look together how we can be part of the generation that ends homelessness in Pasadena and in this country. So thank you all very much. Again, another round of applause for our guests. Please feel free to stick around. Thank you so much.